One of the things I want you to think about for customer immersions coming up for next week, this is more of a group session. It's going to be multiple companies and at a particular customer like Merck or Pfizer, or for K through 12, different private schools or different universities. When you're there, please keep in mind that you're thinking about at all times, what's your ask? How can you impact that company? If you're a healthcare company making something for early stage R&D and you're at Merck, I really want you to think about what's the ask of Merck? How can you help them is the most important thing. Because sometimes you'll be in a situation where it's not 100% clear if, I don't know if MedAware from Israel is on right now, but they're a solution that helps stop medication errors in hospitals. Okay, so I'm at Merck. Well, how does that apply to Merck? So I want all of you to get ready for those customer immersions using some of the thinking like in this deck, but as well, I want you to really think about what's the ask, how do you fit? Because there's always a fit, but I want you to think about that in advance. Okay, a couple of things to highlight from this presentation, and then I'm going to open up for questions. Just a couple of slides in there to give a little more treatment to. Think about when you're setting up a customer immersions, or customer meetings, right? For early stage de-risking in particular, you're trying to set up meetings with people who benefits, who approves, and who pays. That can be very, very different, either an ed tech company or a health company that often is very different. The person who benefits is not the person who approves and not the person who pays. So when you're doing these kind of customer meetings, it's interesting to talk to those different categories of people because they are vastly different. You might have a clinician that uses a product, but they're not the person who pays for it. So think about that when you're setting up these types of meetings. Another point in that presentation, we talk about one of the things that we do a lot and we ask you to do is when you're in these meetings is to say, you can't possibly hurt my feelings. I have a bunch of questions for you. You can't possibly hurt my feelings. Again, as we talked about in the presentation, we're very concerned in early stage companies about companies getting a false positive, right? That they're hearing, oh, that's great, attaboy, keep going, we love what you're doing. You want the negative side. You want that edge coming back to you because that's going to make you a better company. And we tell people very openly, you can't possibly hurt our feelings, so bring it on. Another thing that we see, and I'm just thinking of in particular when we see Dreamit companies going through these processes and these meetings, is getting inside a corporation or an organization and finding out how the purchasing process actually works. So if you're having these early stage meetings, maybe you're post-seed, pre-series A, maybe you're pre-seed, finding out in an organization, a large organization, you're getting in, you're trying to build an ally, you're trying to get early information and saying, can you talk to me, like, how does the purchasing process here work? How do budgets work? How does approval work? And it even gets into pricing, what we talked about. It's definitely an area when we were interviewing all of the companies coming into this cohort, one of the areas people would say they wanted the most help with is around pricing. And we'll certainly be helping around that. But in the presentation, it talked about when you're in these early meetings, talking about pricing, talking about the purchasing process. One quick war story, and I don't think I talked about it in the presentation, was a couple of years ago, we were looking at a company and we were working on it, and it was in the neurological space. It was the digital health company doing diffuse tensor imaging related to brain surgery and brain tumor removal. And we happened to talk to someone about the purchasing process and found out for this particular software application, it gets budgeted once every 3 years. And it was, for that startup, it was untenable. How can you be a startup and hopefully get paid 3 years from now? It just didn't work. So it's important to understand those things at the beginning. Last point I wanted to make, and then we'll open it up for questions. In the presentation, it talked about at the end of these types of meetings, it is phenomenal to say to someone, if the meeting has gone well, and usually they do go well, are there 2 or 3 other people you can speak with? It is amazing how quickly you can build out your network of potential customers and potential partners by asking that magic question and bounding the question, right? Are there just 2 or 3 companies you think we could speak with? And I've seen it happen. We've seen it happen at Dreamit time and time again. When you make that ask, people will do intros. Then you use your email ninja techniques and say, I don't even, you don't need to do the intro. I'll self-intro. I'll send the information. I'll CC you. But quickly, you start in Philadelphia from customer immersions. You start with 10 meetings. Suddenly you have 30 contacts. You have 100 contacts, and you are on your way towards building out your pipeline or de-risking your idea even more. So just a couple things I wanted to highlight. All right, so I'd like to open it up for questions. There's just 12 people. By the way, if I don't answer your questions here, I'll see you at Destination Dreamit tomorrow. I can't believe it's tomorrow already. It's very exciting. You can ask me face-to-face, certainly, or ask Phil or any of the managing directors at Dreamit. So if you'd like to ask a question, if you just pop up the raise your hand button, I'm going to promote you and bring you in as a panelist. It'll take about 7 seconds for Zoom to switch you over. Just hit the raise your hand button. Don't be shy. Operators are standing by. Just hit the raise your hand button if you have any questions about the material we went over. Happy to answer your questions. And we can do this for an hour. We can do this for 10 minutes. It depends on how many questions you have. Click your raise your hand. I'll see you. I'll promote you up and answer any questions you have. So I'll wait for a few seconds here and see if anybody wants to ask anything. Let me just relook at the 12 people that are here. One person is dialed in. Cool, cool. Great. Just looking at the people logged in. Okay, so far no questions. I don't see anything on chat. Let me just make sure. Cool, just looking on Slack to make sure no one's yelling at me saying, Steve, you're not broadcasting. Okay, give it 2 more minutes. So if there are no questions, by the way, I really hope I'm not ending now, but just burning some time. I really hope you found the material helpful. We use this every single day. And again, it's a 1-2 punch with this, and an Email Ninja is a serious 1-2 punch for really breaking through, meeting with the people that you want to meet with, and then having great meetings and really getting the questions out. And Balaji, I appreciate your comment. The video was helpful. Thanks. Cool. All right. It is 11:10 Eastern time. I'm literally going to keep it open. If there's no questions in the next 2 or 3 minutes, I'm going to let you continue to pack and get ready. Some of you may be in transit already. And if you are getting ready to go, I'll let you pack. Don't forget, by the way, the weather looks like it's going to be rainy for part of the time. Don't forget to bring boots because you're going to be outside in some of that rain or some of the damp grounds. This is very relaxed, very casual, and should be fun and intensive, kind of like all of Dreamit. Okay, and cool. Thank you, Nicole Tucker-Smith. Found the material really helpful. I have a meeting with a customer today and plan to use the content. Awesome, we love that. As a matter of fact, we've seen a couple of times, a lot of the presentations that you'll see from Dreamit, and you have access to the slide deck, we'll literally see people print out the presentations because they're written in a very checklist format, and literally like be in a meeting, go, let's see, yep, got it, good. And please feel free to use it that way, but I'm glad you found it helpful. And when you're at Destination Dreamit, tell us new things that you've learned, and you can share it with other teams because we're always learning and applying the techniques ourselves. Okay, gonna wait 1 more minute. I appreciate all the comments, just if there are questions. Otherwise, hopefully it was nice and self-explanatory. We'll give it 1 more minute. I'm trying to think of anything else I can talk to you guys about. We appreciate, by the way, everybody's doing a nice job of participating in Slack. Remember, when you're participating in Slack, if you want to call attention to me or Phil related to health or Andrew related to EdTech or Mo, @message them. And then when you go it dings, it highlights, it gives us a little number and knows there's something there. If you just write something in a channel saying, hey, I wanted to find out about X, but you don't ding anybody, there's a lot of channels at Dreamit that we monitor across all 25 companies currently in. Dreamit's accelerated about 220 companies over the last 8 years. More and more of the alumni are coming into Slack. So there's a lot going on. So if you want to catch our attention, make sure to @ and the person's name, tap it in Slack. We all have it installed on our iPhones, Androids, and Macs and PCs. We suggest, by the way, that you have Slack installed both on your machine, on your desktop computer or notebook computer, as well as your smartphone device. Cool. All right. Well, there's no questions. There's 12 people on. I'm going to wrap it up. If you have questions, you have follow-up, a majority of the Dreamit team will be at Destination Dreamit. There's probably going to be 10 to 15 Dreamit people there total. We're expecting a very full house and a very good time there. So if you have questions, let us know. It'll be a time for you to bond with each other, for you to bond across the teams. Wait till you meet each other. It's going to be fun. I think you're going to be like, wow, these are really impressive companies, because you're really impressive companies, and we're looking forward to you meeting together and starting your bonding process. One of the biggest things we hear about Dreamit is, we love everything about it, and the managing directors are great, but like, wow, we got so much value from the other teams. So that starts tomorrow. If you have questions when you're in transit, ping us on Slack. We hope to see you there bright and early. Get some rest, pack well. It'll be an exciting time, and then we jump right into customer immersions next week. The next 3 weeks are going to be busy. So try to get some rest before you get there, and we appreciate everybody's time today. I'm gonna end the webinar now. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you in the Poconos outside Philadelphia tomorrow. Safe travels, look forward to seeing you in person. Cheers, bye.